Hello. Today I would like to speak about the apartheid, or the allegation that Israel is an apartheid state. First of all, let us compare what happens in Israel to what happened in South Africa in the years of the apartheid regime. We know very well that the apartheid in South Africa was based on a series of laws which actually made definition between the whites and others, especially blacks, in all kinds of criteria. For example, people in the whites in South Africa could not marry people who are blacks, and it was actually an offense against the law, which was called the Moral Act, which prevented any marriage between, or any relations between whites and blacks. Also, they couldn't live together in the same neighborhoods. They had different school systems, they had different hospitals, and different beaches, different transportation, like trains and buses and so forth. Nothing of these issues occurs in Israel, inside Israel. The law doesn't forbid any Jew from marrying Arab or Muslim woman, or vice versa, especially if it doesn't meet her, it doesn't marry her. Everybody is free to do whatever he likes with whoever he likes, and there are actually some cases of marriage between Jews and Muslims. And usually it's Jewish women who marry Arab men, and they live together in Arab villages or neighborhoods or towns, wherever they live. And maybe the families do not like it so much, but it's not against the law, and they can do whatever they like. So marriage in Israel between Jews and Arabs are totally not forbidden. It's okay, and maybe some people wouldn't like to see it, but the law doesn't prevent any marriage between Jews and Arabs inside Israel. Of course, every group wants to keep its identity, and people would like to marry people who are like them from the Jewish point of view and the Arab point of view. And this occurs everywhere in the world, when Jews marry Jews, and Christians marry Christians, and so forth. But by the law, everybody can marry whoever he likes inside Israel. There is no discrimination and no apartheid in marriage. Even in neighborhoods, every Arab can buy any apartment on any house in Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem, in Haifa, wherever he likes. And every Jew is allowed to sell his apartment or his house to any Arab, any Muslim man, who, as long as he pays what he has to pay according to the contract. But the fact that somebody is an Arab or a Muslim does not prevent him from buying or purchasing any real estate anywhere in the state of Israel, any city, any town, any neighborhood, or any whatever. So this is why apartheid cannot be implemented in Israel, because everybody can live wherever he likes. Of course, Jews like to live with Jews, and Arabs like to live with Arabs. And this is like in other places in the world. In Belgium, those who speak Dutch, the Flems, usually like to live with Flems, and those who speak French, the Wallons, prefer to live with Wallons. But it doesn't make Belgium into an apartheid state. Exactly the same is with Arabs and Jews inside Israel. School systems. There are no separate or totally separate school systems in Israel. Of course, there are schools in neighborhoods. So a neighborhood which is populated mainly by Jews will have a school which is usually manned by Jews. And in villages and neighborhoods, towns, cities populated by Arabs, the schools will be of Arab kids who go all to the school in the same neighborhood. So, but according to the law, every Jew can go to study wherever he like, and same as Arabs. And many Arabs in Israel study, for example, in the Ort chain of schools, which were built for Jews, but everybody can learn there and become whatever he likes, especially in the high school when kids are bigger in age and they can go by bus, unlike kids in the first or second grade who usually walk to school in the neighborhood. So when kids get older, they can go by bus to any school which they want. And of course in the universities, there is no Arab university or Jewish university. All the universities in Israel, including the Technion and the Weizmann Institute, all are open to Jews and Arabs alike, and there is no discrimination or no separation, especially not apartheid, in the school system. Hospitals in Israel have no segregation between Jews and Arabs. 2 beds in one room, one could be an Arab man and his neighbor, and the next bed will be an Arab or Jewish. Doesn't matter. We do separate between men and women in the same rooms. We don't in Israel. We don't have usually men and women in the same room, and this is I think in most parts of the world a matter of privacy, especially for women, and we honor this thing. But it's not apartheid. Definitely in the same room we can find a Jewish woman and a Jewish woman and an Arab woman. In another room you can find a Jewish man and an Arab man together, being treated by doctors who could be both together, Muslims or Arabs and Jews together, working in the hospital. And there is no discrimination. And you know, even there is a discrimination here against Jews in some parts, and this is actually what happened with my mother. She is 92 years old, and she fell like half a year ago at home, and she broke her hip, and she was taken to the Kfar Saba hospital, the Meir hospital in Kfar Saba. And this old lady had to wait 52 hours until she was operated, because on that Friday, when it happened, there was a gang fight in an Arab village near Kfar Saba named Tira, and those heroes are injuring each other by shooting each other in the knees, deliberately in the knees. And a shot in the knee is something very, very bad. It takes years until the knee gets back to its position. So they were taken to the hospital, one after one, and everyone is accompanied by his brothers and cousins, some 20 of them, and they threatened the crew in the hospital that if their brother is not taken immediately to the operation room, they will break the doors and the windows and the chairs and the desks in the hospital. So my mother had to wait for 52 hours until all those heroes of Tira were operated in the orthopedic operation room. And of course, we do not break no doors and no chairs and no windows and nothing. So our mother had to wait patiently until those heroes, accompanied with their gangs, with their cousins and brothers, of course all are Arabs, they were, after they all were operated, and only then she was taken to the operation room. And the last one is about transportation. There is no discrimination in Israel whatsoever in transportation. Buses, trains, cabs, all are together between Jews and Muslims and Arabs. Nobody discriminates anybody. Everybody shares the same buses, the same transportation system. Everybody can go with whatever he likes, to wherever he likes. And this is actually what enabled the jihadists some years ago when they wanted to blow buses where Jews were inside. Those Arabs, the Palestinians, climbed those buses with explosive belts in order to blow these buses, and killing and injuring dozens of Jews in one blast. And this was only because the transportation system is united for both Arabs and Jews. So again, also in transportation system, there was no any kind of apartheid between Jews and Arabs. So this is why I think nobody can claim that there is an apartheid system in the transportation system. So all these criteria, which actually were the apartheid, the components of apartheid in South Africa of the years of the apartheid, not even one of them occurs in Israel, especially not according to the law in Israel. And again, if community of Jews and or Arabs decide to manage its life by itself, it is its own right to do so. Nobody imposes anything on others. Nobody tries, Jews do not try to make the Arabs into Jews, and the Arabs do not impose their Arab mindset or traditions on Jews. Every community lives as it is, and we meet each other in buses and in hospitals and in the school system, and there are those, by the way, in Beersheba, many Bedouins immigrate to live in Beersheba because they find Beersheba much easier than to live in the desert. So they live in Beersheba, and nothing happens to nobody. And of course, marriage as well is possible, permissible by the law, between Jews and Arabs. So who said that Israel is an apartheid state? Thank you very much.